While the maize ban from neighboring Tanzania to neighboring countries could spark a major diplomatic row if the matter is not urgently addressed. Speaking at a news conference, Vimal Shah Bidco, Africa chairman, notes that despite the dwindling harvests, countries should be careful on the food policies that they put in place so as not to hurt regional trade.
Grains have been an issue and food has been a big issue. I think each country will have their own policies on national food security and national food policies. And that's why you've seen that, they're talking about we don't want to export any grains because we need to make sure our food security is ensured and thereafter go to other countries. So it's not a trade barrier that's been introduced because Tanzania is against Kenya or something. It's a national food security issue. I think they have every right to do that. However, there is free borders across East Africa, and today East Africa has the customs union, so there's really nothing terrible about it.
To see a slowdown in investments in Kenya, that was the message from the business community, even as Kenya heads to the polls. Business leaders have exuded confidence in the country's economy, downplaying what investors say may take a wait-and-see attitude approach this time, as was the case in the year 2013.
Executed, they're happening. Private sector is far more robust because people are now having confidence in investing in Kenya. There's one more scenario that's happened, and globally, all economies, whether you take the West, USA, Europe, have gone lower. And there's been a general downturn in those markets. And for Africa, Kenya has become much more shining. Back then, commodity prices were much, much higher. And therefore, in Africa, you had Angola, you had South Africa, and Nigeria as the rising stars. Today, in this situation, Kenya is the only rising star. I can be too much Kenyan, but I can tell you one thing. If you look at Angola, Nigeria, and South Africa, they are in whatever they are in, right now situation. And we are in a much better situation. We cannot lose this opportunity for Kenyans to really prosper even more. And frankly, look at the amount of entrepreneurship happening in Kenya. Just go onto the highway and see people selling. They're not stealing, they're actually selling you goods. They're actually becoming more entrepreneurship. Everywhere you see now, there's a lot more entrepreneurship happening. Jobs are being created. And I think we need to now focus on the key areas where we can really increase a lot more. And I think when you look at from rural urban, 2013, we didn't have counties. We were forming counties. This time round, I can tell you, every county has a vision, has a formula of how to make it work. Maybe the size of government is too big. Maybe that needs to be small, reduced down. Maybe we don't need allowances for a lot of these people because MCS should actually be voluntary jobs. People giving back to society and making sure things happen there. However, when you ask your question, the economy is doing far better. Look at our budget figures themselves. We've gone from, we're now talking trillions of shillings in budgets, which we never talked about in the past. So I think when we look at the GDP and the growth rate, yes. We will see all the infrastructure being built today. The trickle-down effect comes in 4, 5, 6 years from now. Because when you build roads, when you build railways, when you build all this, it is the people's benefit that will come later on. And I think the benefits will be start seeing. In fact, if you were a president right now doing projects, your benefit will not come to you. The benefits will go to the people in 5, 10 years' time. And therefore, we have to relentlessly keep on building infrastructure.
Over many years, the country has built a strong environment, and we would like to keep that. So just to respond to that in terms of investments, a lot of the times we've measured that with the appetite from foreign investment. I think one of your newspapers recently reported about tourism and the increase in tourism, that we've seen that the numbers have gone up even before we've hit the real high season, and would like to keep that. And no, tourism is a very sensitive sector when it comes to violence, and so that's why we're really pushing for the non-violence, because we do not want to go back where we were a few years ago when tourism had really gone down because of terrorism and crime.
Some of the big projects like the standard gauge railway line, like the LAPSET, are actually transcending the election cycles. It is also good for us to note that Kenya is a country, irrespective of the government in place, respects the rule of law. We also respect international agreements. So to the extent that there are projects which have been planned, and all these projects are Vision 2030 projects, then they are going to continue, and we haven't seen any slowdown. Actually, lately, we are told that if you want to travel between Mombasa and Nairobi on the standard gauge railway line, you've got to book 3 or 4 days in advance because the train is overbooked now. So that is an indication that there is excitement, there is things in place about implementing Vision 2030 flagship projects, and those are actually the drivers of the economy in terms of where we want to go.
Well, moving on.